utility for both trainers.
Yeah, Kevin's got that Incineroar out. It's going to be able to get a valuable Intimidate onto the Rillaboom in particular, slow that down on the physical side. But also there's the war of the fake outs here. Which Pokemon is faster? Normally you would say the Rillaboom, probably more likely to be the faster. Going to be able to fake out maybe that Calyrex Ice Rider here, preventing Glacial Lance onto that side of the field, and more importantly, stop a Trick Room. I think that's the key. And it could open the door for you to maybe terastallize that Calyrex Shadow Rider, get a nasty plot off, and get yourself in a position where you can start launching those Astral Barrages on the opposite side of the field and kind of have that overwhelming offense going forward.
Especially, too, calling out that nasty plot with the Calyrex Shadow Rider. That makes it so if Kevin does take a turn to be a little bit more passive, if that Calyrex gets set up, that could be a dangerous situation. So you really have to play your cards carefully here on this very first turn, as we're going to see the first terastallization here in our senior finals for the Calyrex Ice Rider into the Spire type turn. Make sure you're not going to be taking so much damage on this very first turn of battle. Scout things out a little bit. Rillaboom, stop the Incineroar. Make sure it can't go into attack with the Calyrex. No setup, all out offense. Astral Barrage into both of these Pokemon, but look how well they're going to take the hits. Incineroar cannot move at all. It's all down to the Calyrex Ice Rider and Trick Room. The speed advantage now in Kevin's favor.
There it is, the Trick Room set up in perfect conditions for Kevin in this scenario. Now going to be able to fire back with those powerful Glacial Lances that are going to really threaten that Rillaboom and do some good, respectable damage to the Calyrex. You can see the defensive terastallization there on the Calyrex Ice Rider, really beneficial there, just brushing off, shrugging those Astral Barrages to the side, and the Incineroar in a really dominant position now to either get a parting shot off into either one of these targets, maybe even the Rillaboom. We know there's no Protect there, so it's a free target to go for something more optimal on the field. You want to try and get that Landorus on the field in case of anything else, if there is a shift up from Sian, or do you want to just take advantage of it here, kind of punish a no terastallization from the Calyrex with a knockoff?
Yeah, that's exactly it, because there is so much damage potential. If you don't want to be going for the terastallization on this turn for Sian, then that Calyrex has to get out of there. The Rillaboom would be the one to switch instead, Intimidate, and it cannot drop the attack on the opposing Calyrex Ice Rider, so it still will be able to attack with full effect. And Glacial Lance, Incineroar again will be able to take the hit. Calyrex not so well, but Flare Blitz from Incineroar targeting it to the other slot instead. So great switch coming out from Sian on that turn. Calyrex Shadow Rider is going to be able to stick around. It could have been in a precarious situation, but gets this opportunity to go for another round of attacks. And on this turn, it's still a lot of damage, but not enough for a KO.
Yeah, great turn for both players here. I think really brave decision from Sian to not protect that Calyrex Shadow Rider because of the threat of the knockoff, because of that Glacial Lance as well, but going for that Astral Barrage, and this could be crucial in determining who wins the match. Remember, there are 3 more turns of Trick Room here, so that Calyrex still in good position, but the inclusion now of the Incineroar on the field, that alleviation it does provide with the fake out into either one of these targets, going to be really invaluable for the Calyrex going into this next turn. Or if Sian wants to try and stall out these Trick Rooms, he can maybe preserve the Calyrex for when that Trick Room ends by getting Rillaboom back into the fray.
It's at least nice with that swap with the Incineroar. You soaked up this hit quite well, and you do have fake out pressure on this turn. The Calyrex as well, with the set it's built out, does have Protect. So you can either Protect, try and get Incineroar pivot a little bit, but none of the above. We're going again for the offense. This is so risky. That Calyrex Shadow Rider, the speed is not in its favor. It's taken so much damage. Glacial Lance from the opposing end. Calyrex Shadow Rider, it doesn't pay off. The Pokemon is going to go down. Kevin to take a KO in this match.
That's a huge turn for Kevin, saying, okay, if you don't protect it this turn, I'm going to punish it. And Sian not getting away with it. The U-turn coming out, getting some nice chip into the Incineroar, and basically not getting any value for Sian from their own Incineroar that's just been entered onto the field.
Being able to take that sort of momentum in the match is huge for Heaven, because, yeah, that Calyrex Shadow Rider, you cannot disrespect it. And it stuck around one turn, maybe too long. Kevin not willing to make that mistake again. Now it's going to be the Amogus that hits the field next to that Calyrex Ice Rider on the opposing end. But Sian, what do we think is going to hit the field here?
It's really tough to say. I think the Zamazenta can come in now. It doesn't really mind what's out on the field right now, but it has to be wary of a Spore threat that the Amogus is out. We've got 2 turns of Trick Room left. Spore is an option here, and it can threaten and shut down that last remaining restricted. Not seeing that, seeing the Rillaboom come in. But the other thing to consider is that the Pollen Puff, the Amogus can take advantage of it either this turn or next turn and top the health up of the Calyrex and keep it on the field for a little bit longer and do all that work that Sian has done so far to whittle it down.
At least you're Sian when you have the Rillaboom back out on the field. Again, we do have this opportunity to go for something like a fake out. So Again, if you want to try and make it through this trick room, stopping one of the Kevin's Pokemon in his tracks might be the play as Terastallization finally. When you're carrying down a Glacial Lance from the opposing end, you got to make sure you drop that weakness. So we are going to see the Fire-type Terastallization now going on into the turn. Fake out. Amoonguss won't be able to have any momentum at all. The Rillaboom will still take a little damage from that Rocky Helmet. And now it's going to be the high horsepower, but going into that, that's a miss.
Oh,
into
that's
the
a huge
Incineroar.
miss.
That is everything. Now parting shot back out. Incineroar sticks around. It gets to pivot.
It gets the pivot, yes, and now we're going to see that last remaining Pokemon for Sian, and what will it be? It probably is that Zamazenta, you would imagine. The problem is with that Terastallization as well. You say, yes, you get rid of that weakness from the Glacial Lance, but you're kind of opening yourself up to those ground moves that the Calyrex also has. Zamazenta now hitting the field and getting that big, all-important defense boost against the big threat in that Calyrex. And both of these targets now are going to be susceptible to that Spore now that the Rillaboom is a fire type and not that grass type.
Looking at these Pokemon, though, I mean, yeah, the Rillaboom might be in a little bit of a tricky spot with the Spore. At least for the Zamazenta, we can look at something like a Protect to wait out that final one. But given the situation, when you're staring down the Calyrex Ice Rider as a partner that doesn't quite have the health, heal it up. High horsepower will find it.
Huge knockout!
Rillaboom will go down. You try and get rid of a weakness. You expose another one. Finally, Kevin will land that move. 2 Pokemon taken down on Sian's end, and that's a chilling Knee boost for the Calyrex as well.
Yeah, that's huge. The chilling Knee boost, the body press in response as well, and is able to just shrug that off. And with that active support with the Amoonguss on the field, Kevin is making it so difficult for Sian to get any sort of momentum swing in this match. You've got to see he's perfectly timing it as well, when now the Trick Room's ended. You've got that Rage Powder. You can pull in any of those attacks and try and get that Trick Room up, but you've got to remember there is a Pokemon in the back, and that Pokemon is Incineroar. Can come out into the field now, disrupt a little, support that Zamazenta with that all-important fake out that it's got for this one next turn.
I mean, that's it. When you have that one all-important fake out, where do you target it? How do you try and position the Zamazenta? What do you do when you only have 2 Pokemon left?
Yeah, what do? Do you go for the Calyrex to stop the Trick Room, or do you go for the Amoonguss to stop the Spore? Either way, you're going to get punished if you can't deal with that Calyrex this turn.
Sian, during this match, has always gone for the big play, and that's going to be a helping hand instead to try and go for a KO with Calyrex. That is the Protect. Where has the Zamazenta targeted on this turn? You have the helping hand boost, and it's going to be both Pokemon from Kevin protecting, so a great source of information on this turn.
Yeah, great player there. Just wants to play it safe, doesn't want to take any risks or overextend themselves. They've got a nice lead now. You want to preserve that, so just take your time at this stage. You've only got a little bit further to go to lock this matchup. It's not over yet. Anything could happen, but we are seeing that helping hand once again.
First time didn't work out. Let's go for it the second time and make sure Zamazenta can do as most damage as possible. Amoonguss with the Rage Powder. Calyrex Ice Rider will remain safe on this turn. It's time to see how much this Heavy Slam is going to do. Amoonguss soaks up that hit so well. And now the Calyrex Ice Rider, again, offensive, high horsepower, 1 Pokemon left for Sian.
Yeah, I love this. Not even needing to go for the Trick Room here. The Rage Powder is going to be all that you need for that support to allow the Calyrex to get these attacks off. High horsepower into the Incineroar, and now that Zamazenta is a sitting target with another chilling Knee boost to the Calyrex's name. Going to be more than enough with 1 high horsepower to clean this up.
And Amoonguss, yet again, Rage Powder. No matter how badly you want to target down that Calyrex Ice Rider, you cannot. Heavy Slam still cannot pick up this KO. Calyrex Ice Rider throughout this match has put up so much pressure, and just a surefire way to lock up this match. Trick Room on this turn. Both of these Pokemon for Kevin are slower, so you're just a turn or 2 away from taking this first game.
Textbook play here, the safest way around it. For this turn now, the Trick Room setup, high horsepower followed it up, no risk at all. Locking this game up as well as anyone you put on that Nintendo Switch could do.
Oh! Which he's got to make sure he doesn't have any risk, because this Calyrex Ice Rider, you have the smallest of risk of missing with the high horsepower. Thankfully, you should be able to go for it again. Zamazenta is still asleep, and Amoonguss can make sure that you're not getting the damage done. Of course, with the Zamazenta, it did take that first mandatory turn to sleep, so things get a little bit iffy, but thankfully, Calyrex Ice Rider will finally hit its mark. Kevin on up 1 game in the set, 1 game away from being a world champion for the second time.
absolutely incredible there. What a performance from Kevin. Coming out, game plan executed perfectly, just not giving Sian even an inch. And Sian was really brave in some situations, trying to get a leg up where possible, right? Not protecting the Calyrex, getting that all-important Astral Barrage off. But I think maybe getting a little bit overextended in places where getting caught out the next turn. Kevin saying, okay, if you're not going to do this, I'm going to punish you, and I'm going to get rid of this Pokemon. Exactly what happened, and then just played it out perfectly from there.
What a different play style from our two trainers, though, because Sian was never afraid of making those plays. And ones that, if Kevin got it wrong, that could have been the game on the spot. But Kevin, recognizing that, hey, I got to play this safe, and making sure that each move was just so, each turn was just so concise. Especially, too, Kevin, throughout that match, you look at the two high horsepower misses, it was a game that could have maybe got out of control, but he mitigated his own risk beyond that as much as he could.
Yeah, and I love the choice of Pokemon that Kevin used there. Didn't even need that fourth Pokemon in the end. Just the Incineroar, the Amoonguss, and the Calyrex. Ice Rider was enough, and that combination is really difficult for Sian to pivot around, move around, because once that Trick Room is set up, and I think that's the pivotal thing going into this game too. I think you are Sian, you've got to try and prevent that Trick Room going up and trying to be a bit more aggressive and punish. But the case is Kevin going to kind of split the decisions there where, yes, you can stop the Trick Room or you get spoiled. That's the sort of thing I think Kevin needs to do going into this match to follow up that pressure, to continue on, take that step forward.
After Kevin Hahn became a Pokemon World Champion last year, he talked about the match, talked about in the World Championship Finals, you can't quite go for the same thing. You can get punished. He was down a game, still able to bounce back, making the adjustments. Now he is up one, but you know he has the mind, he has the mentality to be able to try and call this out. For Sian, this is back against the wall, but still, when you're looking at the caliber of players, someone who's consistently leveled up and is on this stage, I mean, the world is the possibility.
Yeah, and I mean, you've got a lot of options to switch things up with Kevin. You've got that nice option in the Miraidon. We didn't see that. It's got the Choice Scarf. It's going to be the fastest thing on the field, and I think the one thing that Sian kind of struggles a little bit with is that speed control. There aren't options of it on their team. It's more that priority attack that they've got in their arsenal. It's more the disruption through the fake out, the pivoting, to help things like that Calyrex, to help things like that Raging Bolt and the Zamazenta to perform, to get those big damaging attacks off, to cut through this team. But Kevin, if he does bring the Miraidon, and if you're seeing and you lead wrong against that, it could be very dangerous, especially if we don't see the Rillaboom to kind of get rid of that electric terrain that activates the Hadron engine, gives you that automatic boost, and then you've got the terrestrialization to consider on top of that. It could be a quick way to get burst damage, pick up a key knockout early on, and start closing the door down from there.
Knowing that Kevin can go for an early Trick Room to take that momentum, I'm curious about the adjustment from Sian, where we can really start to see, is it the lead? Is it just going to be the play from there?
I think I think the best way, if you look across the board, I think it is damage. I think it is the way to go with fake out into that Trick Room user. It's just trying to mitigate the danger on the opposite side to that Calyrex, to the side of the Calyrex. If you kind of overcompensate on one Pokemon and leave the other one alone too much, it could be too much.
Getting into game number 2 here. Make some noise, trainers, because Kevin Hahn potentially one game away from becoming a world champion. Sian, we're going to see a powerful lead, but we do see the adjustment coming out from Kevin.
Yeah, the adjustment here, it's going to be that Miraidon we talked about. It does and will put on pressure with that Snarl overall. I think the Calyrex Shadow Rider going to be one of those Pokemon, if it does take a special attack drop, it becomes way less scary, right? I think if you are the Calyrex Ice Rider, you do need to still go for the Terrestrialization to get rid of those weaknesses that are facing you right now with the fire from the Incineroar and the Astral Barrage. But the Incineroar has the option here to choose one of these targets, has to get it right and maybe support that Calyrex and getting an all-important Nasty Plot, just a really crucial Astral Barrage.
Yet again, making sure preservation on the Calyrex Ice Rider is terrestrialization into that fire type. This Pokemon was so pivotal for Kevin in that first match. Got to preserve it at all costs. Going into this, though, for Sian is just to protect for that Calyrex Shadow Rider. Volt Switch, Miraidon, so much damage into that Incineroar. Kevin, what Pokemon is going to hit the field?
A nice option now to bring in maybe the Incineroar, but as you know, the Calyrex has protected, so maybe that opens up a few different options. Maybe you bring in the alternative here and bring the Incineroar in after, but no, bringing the Incineroar in, there's going to be a perfect partner to support that Ice Rider Calyrex.
You got the fake out on the next turn and support for your other Pokemon and a knockoff that, well, the Incineroar is going to take that quite well. Sure, you don't have your Assault Vest, but now you're going to be in a situation where, well, you're going to be offensive, and that Calyrex Shadow Rider on the opposing end doesn't look as scary when it's going to be the slowest thing out on the field.
Yeah, this is a really tough spot for Sian to be in. With the Trick Room being set up, the Calyrex now cannot protect this next turn. You don't have fake out support anymore, and Kevin has the option to really get rid of this Incineroar high horsepower and then go for the knockoff into the Calyrex, and there's not really much risk of going for it there. You can see what the idea was from Sian that last turn: protect your Calyrex, get rid of the Choice Scarf on the Miraidon, hope it goes into the Volt Switch on that Calyrex side, so then you're going to outspeed it the next turn. Unfortunately, Kevin seeing straight through that, just saying, no, I need the Trick Room, I'm setting it up, and here we go.
And Calyrex Shadow Rider, since it's already used its Protect and no support on the field, almost feels like it's forced to be switching out and Zamazenta to take its place instead. The Zamazenta that, of course, will get that defense boost and is going to take this hit a lot better than anything else would. And Incineroar already took so much damage, still going to stick around for a little bit. Knock off, at least good to get rid of that Clear Amulet. Whether you get an opportunity to see that comes late, that's a different thing. Flare Blitz so much into the Zamazenta on that switch in.
Yeah, big play here. The Flare Blitz into that slot. A really nice call. And catching the Zamazenta, that's pretty huge because the high horsepower now potentially could pick up the knockout into that slot. And that Incineroar on Sian's side as well, not in a safe place, especially if you want to utilize that Intimidate now that that Clear Amulet's been disposed of. You've knocked it off, so it is going to be susceptible to that. You can weaken it for once. We couldn't do that game one, but it is going to mean that you are going to have to switch it out and something to hit the field, potentially take a big attack in its place.
And knowing that the speed is not in your favor for the Zamazenta, the Protect just makes so much sense. High horsepower, gonna go into the other slot. So Incineroar goes down. Such a commanding start to this game two coming out from Kevin. First KO already taken, still in the Trick Room, and yeah, it's looking tough, and that's a chilling Nabus. It's Calyrex Ice Rider looking even more terrifying.
Yeah, it really is now. It's on +1 attack. It's gonna guarantee you pick up a knockout against that Zamazenta with the high horsepower. It doesn't go for a Terastallization. Now the Calyrex Shadow Rider coming back onto the field, and now it is in that really awkward spot. The one thing that you would say that Sian has in their arsenal is the Wide Guard. It can protect you against that Glacial Lance and force almost a high horsepower. But if Kevin gets the slot right, this could be game over here. So you've got to get everything right at this moment in the game.
Calyrex, I feel like you have to protect on that turn. High horsepower going into that protected slot. So Zamazenta has been left by its own for now, but where is Incineroar going to target? Flare Blitz. Oh, it's a double up into the slot. So Zamazenta was left all alone on this turn. Kevin targeting down into the other threat. Body press into the Calyrex. A lot of damage.
Yeah, a lot of damage. A great play from Sian here to try and claw back this game with one more turn of Trick Room remaining. If you can get through this next turn, you're going to be in a great spot to get rid of that big threat in Ice Rider Calyrex. Some good damage there with the body press. One more will take it down, and the Incineroar very vulnerable to that attack as well. So you've got to be careful where that body press goes if you don't get rid of it this turn. The Calyrex in an awkward position where it has just protected. Do we see the double up into it this time around?
I mean, the Calyrex Shadow Rider, since it protected last turn, it feels so safe to target into it now. Zamazenta to protect there. The double up now into the Calyrex Shadow Rider. A second KO for Kevin.
Huge knockout on such a threat on the last turn of Trick Room. When you wanted to get rid of this Pokemon, you did it. And now the Zamazenta half health, the Twisted Dimensions turn back to normal, the electric terrain disappearing. So if that Amoonguss is in the back for Kevin, he can bring it in now. The Spores will be active. He can start putting things to sleep.
Looking at Kevin throughout this match, throughout his season, throughout his journey, dominance has been the word. Looking at this match, he's so close to closing this out. 2 Pokemon away. And now, I mean, you have every tool at your disposal. Rillaboom, it does have the fake out, but I feel like Kevin might have just taken too much momentum.
Yeah, I think he's got so much momentum here. I mean, this turnaround, Calyrex is threatened from a body press. You've got the fake out active here, and that's why we're seeing the Protect on the Calyrex. Just wants to preserve it a little bit longer. Maybe try and pivot that Incineroar off the field if it sticks around.
Yeah, when you're looking at other options in the back, I mean, you keep the Calyrex Ice Rider safe. You still have Miraidon. You still have another tool at your disposal. So that is going to be a KO for Sian. But again, it's going to be a Calyrex Ice Rider that stays safe. An opportunity now to see, is it going to be the Miraidon that hits the field?
might be the Miraidon you feel like you would. You've got terrain control if you bring it in, and then you've got your option. You go after that Zamazenta with one of those big, powerful electric type attacks. Or you've got the option of the Draco Meteor, which could launch down, double up into that Rillaboom to get rid of it. But the big target here is that other restricted. You've got to say that's the big threat right now, offering the big damage. Now that grassy terrain's gone, so try and prioritize that. Try and remove that as quick as you can.
I mean, looking at the fact that these two Pokemon, the Zamazenta has taken so much damage for the Miraidon. When you are eyeing up the item of choice with the Choice Scarf, you have to make that decision now. But when you're looking at, hey, if I get rid of the Zamazenta first, it's a Rillaboom that doesn't really seem to have an answer into that Calyrex Ice Rider. We're going to be saving Terastallization right until the bitter end, though. Zamazenta into the Dragon type. If this is an electric move, that's going to be taking the hit so much better.
Yeah, but if we say Glacial Lance, and no, wide guard, this could be it. And it is that Electro Drift. It will be taken a lot easier from this Zamazenta. Really great defensive Terastallization there.
Zamazenta is going to survive right here, right now. Body press into the Miraidon is not enough. Rillaboom, Woodhammer, still
survive!
Pick up the KO. Now the Calyrex Ice Rider has this opportunity to move.